Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle are your hosts of In The Kliq, baby Huey and BrianTronic.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner, BrianTronic. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. We're back. We didn't take very long this time. Back again.
Yes, Kliqsters, I hope you appreciate this. We're back again with another episode of In The Kliq. No long breaks in between. We're trying to get back into the groove of things.
We're making progress.
Yeah, man. You know, baby steps. No pun intended. Yes. Since, Brian, you have a newborn baby at your place.
That's a good one.
Which is a big reason, for your hectic schedule, just being a dad for, the third time, right? So,
that's right.
Yeah, your schedule is, very busy, mine with work-related stuff. But we're trying to squeeze in episodes of In The Kliq whenever we can. So please, once again, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts at. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, we would greatly appreciate a 5-star rating. Leave a review there as well. Share the podcast. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment there. Share the podcast as well. I noticed our YouTube stats have been going up, so thank you once again to everyone for all the support. That really does mean a lot. But yes, Brian, so much to get into. But I will say this. We're recording right now. Unfortunately, I did not win the Powerball Lotto, because if I was going to win, I would be celebrating right now. Do you play Lotto? I haven't had a chance to ask you. You don't?
My mom keeps telling me that I should. Like, you gonna go play it? I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I know. I'm so bummed. I made the joke on my radio show on Sunday. Or was it Sunday? Yeah, because the draw was Saturday and I didn't win. So I did my radio show Sunday. My first break was, well, I didn't win Powerball, so I'm back to work again, unfortunately. So I was going to try to use the same saying here for the podcast this week, is that, yeah, unfortunately I didn't win Powerball, so I'm back at it with another episode of the podcast here, which I do love, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Yes. I love this podcast. It's been my baby for a long time now. And Brian, I'm so happy you're part of this baby.
Yes.
Another baby. It's your fourth baby. And me, baby Huey, I'm like your fifth baby. I am, let's flip that around. I am your fourth baby.
Fourth baby, yes.
Yes. And then the podcast itself is another baby entity that we care about. Oh, man. But,
so
dude,
that's
the
babies.
Thing. A lot of babies. No, that's the thing. Like, I haven't told you this. Like, okay, so the Powerball was, $2.4 billion. That's what it got up to by the last drawing.
Wow.
Monday night. Actually, I had to redo it, Tuesday morning, or this morning, I should say. So the cash value was, I think, at $1 billion. So if you take the one lump sum, I believe it was over $1 billion. If I would have won the lotto, I would probably still work just to have the job and benefits and all that stuff. But, I would take that money and I would go full-time covering wrestling full-time. I would make this podcast the full-time thing. I don't know, maybe try to get a nice studio somewhere and right. Every day we just do daily episodes, and I can pay a whole staff and have a Fightful or Wrestling Inc. of the West Coast. That's my goal.
Oh, yeah.
We have our own studio, and we have a website, a YouTube channel, social media, and we're just producing all this great content. And I would use that money to fund that, and then that way I could take care of my friends, make that their full-time job, so it could be something they love doing, and they can do it as a passion project into a full career. So that would be my goal.
That's actually a really good idea. Maybe I should start playing.
Yeah, you should. So you can invest in this podcast.
That's crazy, man. That is a good idea. Yeah,
I would get you and I, and maybe get Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and I would invest in his website, make it a big thing. I haven't told any of this. So, Tim, if you're listening right now, just know if I win Powerball or any big lotto, I would invest in all of this and make this our full-time jobs. That's something I would love to do. So, I mean, seriously, when I buy my lotto ticket, that's why you kind of dream about sure, of course I can go on vacations, buy a house, nice cars, all that stuff. And also, I would take all of you guys and like go all out, have like an amazing WrestleMania weekend. Like,
oh man,
buy the best seats available, like on the floor somewhere, stay like a nice hotel, like chauffeur to and from every event, like go all out, like we do all the meet and greets, like pay for every meet and greet, meet every wrestler that we can.
Oh man.
That's what I would do if I won the lotto. We would have an amazing WrestleMania experience. So
that'd be sick.
So yeah, that's what I dream about. If I win the lotto, yeah, all the other stuff, of course, do all that, like a new house and all that. But yeah, from a wrestling standpoint, I would invest in all that. Take care of everyone, have an amazing WrestleMania weekend, and then also invest and make it a career. So that way, everyone is like secure financially with a job covering wrestling. So
that's the dream, man.
I know. So yeah, so Brian, yeah, please, it's only $2.
Yes.
Well, so no, there's actually three. There's Powerball. There's Mega Millions and there's Super Lotto. So there's actually 3 different major lotto tickets you can buy. Yeah, you can play them all if you want. They're all drawing to different days. Oh, so it's $2 each, depending which one. You could choose whoever one you want to do. So Powerball was the big one because that was the big amount. But Mega Millions, I think it was like over 140 million itself. So
wow,
that's a good amount too.
Imagine. Maybe I could buy WWE. No, I'm joking.
Dude, actually, if I was a billionaire, I could probably get a group to buy WWE. Actually, WWE how much is WWE worth now? It's like a couple billion, right?
I think so. Maybe
me and The Rock, because wasn't that the rumor? Like people think The Rock was going to try to buy WWE. Mm-hmm. I would buy WWE, and then I'll be in charge.
Set up the meeting with Nick Khan,
Stephanie McMahon, Triple H. All right, guys.
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be champion. I'm gonna be the one to beat Roman Reigns. You hear me? I'm gonna pay my way to be the top champion of this company.
We'll have a post show. We'll have a post show podcast. We'll get rid of Raw talk, and it'll be In The Kliq talk.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. It'd be like. I'm trying to think. What job can we make Phil from the Bullet Cats? Like, what job can we have him do there? That's what I'm thinking. Because I know Phil loves WWE. I'm trying to think what we could have him do. He could be a character or something. I don't know. Oh God, sorry, we're going off the rails already.
We can have him do multiple things,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I will keep dreaming of that. So yeah, I encourage all the Kliqsters out there, yeah, play Lotto. Yeah, see what happens. Be like us and do something cool with it. So, yeah, Brian, I do recommend playing Lotto when you can. So,
I'm going to now.
So, yeah, I'll check. Actually, here, let me bring up the app right now because, the app has everything. Okay, let me hit refresh. Okay, Powerball is now back down to 20 million. Only 20 million, sorry. It's not 2.4 billion.
20 million is still a lot, though.
Absolutely.
You could start something up.
Mega Millions is at $154 million, and the next drawing is, it's tonight. It was tonight already. Oops. So that's already happened. Drawing's at 8 o'clock. Super Lotto's at 40 million. So yeah, I gotta. All right, I'm gonna buy a ticket still. Keep hope alive, man. My goal is to win the Lotto and make covering pro wrestling our full-time career. So you heard it here first.
Yes.
So all right, sorry. Let's get back focused here. So much to talk about. The big weekend was WWE Crown Jewel that has come and came and went. The big show in Saudi Arabia. We will talk about that, talk about the matches, the results, our thoughts on that, and we'll talk about the fallout on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. A lot of things happened there as well, good and bad. And so, yeah, so much to get into. We'll give a quick thoughts on SmackDown as well. So we'll get through this episode, and then we're going to try to record another episode where we'll kind of go more with the major news stories. There's a lot of news stories. You and I, Brian, were talking last night. Just a lot of stuff to come out from this weekend, news topic-wise. So, and we haven't talked to any AEW lately, so we'll do that for another episode. So this episode is WWE focused within the ropes of everything that's happened the last few days concerning WWE. So, all right, let's jump right into it. WWE Crown Jewel was this Saturday morning, which I don't know about you, Brian. I like waking up Saturday morning and there's like a big WWE pay-per-view, or excuse me, premium live event. It's kind of nice. Like, as a kid, I had Saturday morning cartoons, like all of us at one point growing up, here in America. So I don't know. It's like the adult version for me. It's like waking up and having something nice to look forward to. What'd you think about like a premium live event in the morning?
Yeah, I have no issues, no complaints about a premium live event in the morning on a Saturday, right? I mean, I know sometimes they do these shows on like a Friday morning. But yeah,
they did something on a Friday too. That's right.
It's just perfect because then when it's over, it's like you have the whole rest of your day.
Exactly.
And I think, and I believe it helps for if you do want to do like a post show or review, whether that's over the internet, or if you gotta run to the studio and record an episode with your friends or whatever. I feel like those type of things, it leaves room for so much more to do after, and I know because a lot of other podcasts, you got some that do reviews the night right after, and then some that do reviews the next day, the next morning, right? So a premium live event ending at 8:39 on the West Coast. I mean, that's super late on the East Coast. So I mean, I had no complaints, man.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, have lunch and wrap up the show and be on with your day. So no, I'm with you. It was just nice. It's it's kind of a rare thing. Like we only get that twice, I guess technically 3 times a year. So they do 2 shows in Saudi Arabia, and looks like European show for a premium live event. Clash at the Castle was a big success for them money wise this year, and so it looks like the new regime wants to do that as an annual thing, like a big premium live event overseas somewhere in the UK. So which is cool. I think that was a 10 a.m. start when that show happened back in September. So that's cool. I'm all for that. So Saturday morning, and I like these premium live events have been on Saturdays for the last few months now. Like I like that.
Since SummerSlam, right?
I think so.
Maybe.
Let's see, WrestleMania night 1, night 2, that's Saturday and Sunday. But I think they made the change. No, Money in the Bank was also Saturday, right? Money in the Bank
was a Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, so I like it. It makes more sense, like logistically. Like it's nice, like, Saturday, regardless, morning, nighttime. It's a Saturday night. That way, for us, who have to work on a Monday morning, we're not like exhausted because we were up late recording a review or something. I like the Saturday show. It just in general, it just makes more sense. So I'm all for this to keep it going and all that stuff. So
it used to be like, oh man, like when you'd watch a premium live review or pay-per-view from back in the day on a Sunday after it was over, it would be like, all right, well, it's time for bed now. Like,
it really
was. Ready for Monday. Now you watch it on a Saturday, even if it is later on in the evening. It's like, oh, it's over. Oh, wait, I got Sunday tomorrow. I got some football to watch tomorrow. Like, I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna relax now.
Well, that's also a smart move. Like Sundays is so dominated this time of the year by football. Yeah, it makes sense. Move it to Saturdays. It's just more open. I mean, I know there's college football, but it's probably not as competitive for WWE. Yeah, it makes sense. Take over Saturday nights and make that your thing, and then for us fans, we can like process it that night, and then even Sunday process it and check out other people's reviews and whatnot. And so I'm all for that. So now Crown Jewel, this show is the first Crown Jewel show under the Triple H creative regime. I would say overall, man, I think they knocked it out of the park. Like, top to bottom, we had 8 matches plus the Bray Wyatt promo. So 9 segments total. I think you can make the argument this might be the best show ever in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. How about you, Brian? What do you think about it?
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like this. I felt like the last Saudi show that they did was probably the best one because
Elimination Chamber, right?
I can't remember. I think it was Elimination. It was earlier. It had to be earlier this year.
Yeah, February, where Brock threw Austin Theory. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I felt like that was a little more storyline driven, right? Other than the other Saudi shows, but this one was definitely, all storyline, and it just had a different vibe to it, like it didn't, like again, no legends or anything like that coming back. You didn't have, people coming out of retirement like we've seen, like
Goldberg
the other ones,
or DX.
Goldberg, it was just, or even Taker, like it was just, the people who were on this card were literally people who have been working week in and week out, busting their butt to get in the position that they're in. So I feel like, from financial standpoint, obviously they get that big payday, right? But also, be able to go on that side of the world and perform for them. The fans over there, they got their favorites. They want to see WWE superstars too.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the card here, and you can make the argument this could have been easy like a SummerSlam type of card or like a Big Four pay-per-view card here. As far as top to bottom, it was a great set of matches lined up, and you're right, it was very much storyline driven of current members of the WWE roster from Raw and SmackDown. And while in the past, and I said this on the previous episode, Crown Jewel in the past was kind of, I felt like treated like an exhibition as far as it's like these thrown together matches. They don't really, they're like non-canon, if that makes sense. They're like, these are just one-off matches just to fill the show up because it's it's an obligated show they have to do. That's part of a contract with Saudi Arabia they got to do. Yeah. And, like you said, that's where like guys like Goldberg comes back or DX. Like they have like, these veterans or legends or Hall of Famers come back for like one more match. And it's just they try to make the spectacle just on that, and then like it's like they get through that, and then once they get through that Saudi show, then they can pick up business once again and kind of work on storylines for the next pay-per-view. So, but this one, you can make the argument this was a nice card of matches that are just based on current things going on TV, and so. For us as a fan, it's worth our time to watch it because we are investing our personal time because this is stuff we see that's a continuation from Raw and SmackDown. So I definitely agree with you. Fun show. Like, dude, overall, from a production standpoint, it's amazing. I know they get paid, $50 million from the Saudi government to put on these shows. Yeah. And, the money is spent on the production. Visually, it looks amazing. Those drones flying around, like for every wrestler coming down the ring, like painting an image in the sky for either like the wrestler's symbol or like a silhouette of their look or like an outline of their look. It was really cool. So like hats off from like a production standpoint. It was very cool to watch. So I'm with you. It was very cool. So, all right, let's get into the actual matches. So the show kicked off, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. A match I was looking forward to just because this was like a dream match. I think people want to see for the longest time. And we finally got it at Royal Rumble early this year. But it was, it's two big dudes who are very similar in look, size, performance, and even like, backgrounds, like MMA backgrounds. So Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, it's something I think people have been wanting to see for a long time. And I think we're going to get it. But, to give Vince and his old crew credit, they finally pulled the trigger and gave that to us at Royal Rumble. And it was for, the WWE title. And we got to see Bobby Lashley pick up the victory, which was shocking. And he became WWE champion, which he didn't have it long, though. He did drop it at Elimination Chamber, and Brock picked it back up there. But nonetheless, we got it. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a one-time thing. So going into this show, when they announced they're going to have a rematch, 10 months later, I was like, oh, okay, awesome. And this match, it was short, but it was very exciting. What did you think of it?
I loved it because I think it showed that Bobby Lashley could still be dominant, right? Not to say that He was like he didn't seem as dominant as I know he can be, but he was a baby face, and and he's a phenomenal babyface in my opinion, right? But I was so glad to see him just get back to that real hard-hitting physical side. It was almost like we were watching the reverse. It was, we're so used to Brock Lesnar suplexing and beating people up and just putting a beating, pounding his opponent to the mat. But this time, it was all Bobby Lashley the entire time, and Brock Lesnar couldn't even get a breather. The entire match, he could barely even you would if you weren't paying attention, you would almost think like, oh my, did the match even start? Like Brock Lesnar hadn't even finished his entrance yet, and Bobby Lashley was attacking him. So, I'm glad to see that from Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Someone who's not afraid to step up to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like. Okay, so, Bobby comes out first, Brock comes out. Both their entrances were amazing. Brock Lesnar on a large scale, the entrance with the fire and the explosions, boom, the pyro, that was all cool.
So good.
But Brock came out, and Bobby attacked him, pushed him in the steps, causing like a leg injury, which became like a major story beat in this match. And he just started beating the crap out of him before the bell started. And then once the bells start, he was dominating, like you said. And it was finally refreshing, a 180 here as far as Brock Lesnar being vulnerable and being like getting beat on, because for years he's the one that comes and dominates and squashes guys and walks out, it's a quick payday, and he's on his way again. He's out the door, which this show I thought, oh great, he's the first match here. He's gonna do his 5-minute match, be out the door and leave before the show's even over, which who knows if he stayed to the end. We don't know that, but with that being said though, this match, it was just great to see him a change of scenery as far as Bobby Lashley dominating and beating him up most of his match, spearing him on the outside, throwing him around. Brock got a couple suplexes in there, made a little bit of a comeback, but Bobby kept attacking the leg. And so it was just, for a short match, which we all expected, it was still engaging for me because it was so different than we were so used to seeing out of a Brock Lesnar match. So I'm with you. It was very entertaining. Now, the finish, I was like a little underwhelmed by, but I get it. So ultimately, the finish here, we saw, Bobby was having the hurt lock on Brock, and, the ref was trying to do the 3 count by raising the arm up, which we haven't seen that in a long time, because they kind of did. That was that's an old school wrestling trope. They kind of did away with that once like MMA and like UFC got popular. In an actual MMA fight, when someone can't respond to the ref, they immediately call it. So that's why WWE picked up on that. Like, or if someone's in a submission hold and it's not responding, you immediately gotta call the match to kind of keep that realism that you would see in like an MMA fight. So so they kind of stopped doing the raising your hand 3 times, and, if it falls a 3rd time, then you call the match. So I was surprised they went down that road with that story beat, but Brock, 3rd time, his hand didn't fall, and he started like hulking up a little bit, trying to get out of the hurt lock. I bet Bobby was tired, probably holding that hurt lock for so long. That's tough to do, wrapped another big meaty guy. So
it's crazy.
Brock was in the hurt lock, and so he went up the ropes in the corner. And he was trying to reverse the hold, but ultimately he fell backwards and landed on top of Bobby Lashley. And the ref started counting, and Brock was able to pin Bobby Lashley that way. So Brock wins. He escapes with the win there. Bobby got pissed and started beating the crap out of Brock some more. After the match, Bobby's looking tall, walking away. Brock looks defeated, out of breath. It's a sight visually we've not seen Brock like that. His ass kicked, handed to him, not even after like a Roman match. So from a booking standpoint, Bobby looks still so strong in defeat. Were you okay with that finish? What did you think of that finish, though?
Oh yeah, because of the finish, because I knew the finish initially was kind of lame, like how he just rolled back. And I mean, we've seen that, I don't know how many times we've seen it with Shayna. We've seen it. I feel like we've seen that finish even recently, like in the past month, right?
Yeah, well, it's okay. So Shayna, that happened with Shayna in Liv.
I believe it was
I'm like spacing
with. I think it happened. No, did it happen recently with Shayna and Liv? I know it used to happen to Shayna a lot when she was in NXT.
That's right. Oh my God, did
I think her and Kari?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Kari Singh. That's right. Yeah. Did that kind of similar finish, but that was more like on the neck. But didn't it happen to Bret Hart too? Didn't it happen in a Bret match?
That the actual motion of when Brock pushed off the turnbuckle. Yeah, that's a Bret thing. But I even still feel like we've seen that. I mean, didn't Punk do that finish too? I feel like everybody's doing that. I feel like Punk did that finish in one of his matches with somebody on Dynamite or something.
Yeah. But no, like I said, for me, while I felt it's underwhelming, I get it though. It's a way of like getting Brock a victory. So now it's 1-1 as far as their actual matchups. Yeah. Bobby still looks kind of strong in defeat because he even beat him down afterwards. And ultimately, I think it's going to set up a third match. Now, where's that happen? Who knows? Is it going to be Survivor Series in 3 weeks? Royal Rumble, 1 year later from their first match? Me personally, if they could hold off, I would love to see it at WrestleMania. Just because, I'm biased because it'll be in LA and most likely we'll be down there for that one. And,
right. Well, and also I think if you do this match for a third time, now Brock Lesnar is probably going to take Bobby Lashley a little bit more serious, right? I think we won't see him rallying around the ring, walking during his entrance. No, I think he means business this time, and he gets to the ring, gets in there, and then he stands toe to toe with Bobby Lashley. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to let what happened to him happen the next time.
Yeah,
there won't be a next time.
Exactly. So no, overall very fun match, and looking forward to the rematch when it happens in the near future. Next up, it was Damage Control taking on Alexa Bliss and Asuka for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Going into this, you and I both predicted that Alexa Bliss and Asuka were going to retain just because they won the titles at that point 5 days early on Monday Night Raw. Yep. It's not the case, unfortunately. Damage Control ultimately picks up the victory, but I do want to shout out the ladies because they're in Saudi Arabia. They got to wear like the full outfits covering like every exposed skin on their body, more or less. That's the rules over there. The outfits though were pretty sick. I thought like cool, like they look like superhero outfits because I felt like the gear all represent their personalities, which in the past. If you look at the first women's match WWE had over there in Saudi Arabia with Natty and Lacey Evans, it was more or less just like straight black, like scuba gear type outfit and like a shirt over it. But now they're actually
a big oversized shirt with their logo on it.
So it's kind of nice where it's evolved in the last couple of years. Well, now it's like gear that like represents their personalities and like kind of like their ring gear, but just like on a larger scale as far as covering the whole body. But yeah, the match itself I thought was really great. Probably one of their better matches between all four ladies here. What do you think of how this one played out?
I agree. It was definitely, I think it was the best match that they've had. I felt like they seemed a little more comfortable. They were a lot quicker, a lot flatter. I do want to give credit to the crowd in Saudi Arabia too, because they were electric, man. They're always like that from start to finish. And I feel like when you have a match like this on Raw and the crowd has been sitting there for 3 hours and they're not as into what's going on, it's kind of like
this past Monday night Raw's crowd was terrible, which we'll get into that later. But yeah, sorry, not to cut you off. But
yes, definitely. But yeah, no, I thought the match was good and I was shocked by the finish. So I was definitely fine with the finish because I was shocked by it. I definitely thought Asuka and Alexa were going to retain the titles.
Yeah, so Alexa Bliss was about to go for a twisted bliss on Dakota Kai, but Nikki Cross came out, interfered, hit it, was it the stunner? Let's see. Took out Alexa Bliss while the referee was busy looking at Asuka and
she hit
Sky.
like that. She hit like that. It was, I don't know. It's like a neck breaker.
Yeah.
She put their legs on the top rope and then spins.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Suplex, kind of like a suplex stunner type thing.
And then Kai came in with the cover and picked up the win because of the distraction. So Damage Control gets back to title. They're now 2-time champions after not holding the belt for 5 days. So after a short title reign for Bliss and Asuka, only 5 days, they dropped the titles back. So a lot of people were kind of, complaining about that online. Before I forget, before the match, the interview with Asuka and Alexa Bliss with Byron Saxton, TV screen saw Bray Wyatt's logo appear on the screen. Alexa Bliss looked over real quick, kind of scared, and then, try to get back focused with the interview. Kind of foreshadowing, another Easter egg was Bray Wyatt going to come after Alexa Bliss at some point, which maybe we could save that for when we talk about Raw, because we did see the logo again for their entrance this week. Yep. So we could touch on that a little bit more. But I don't know, man. What do you think? 5-day title reign? A lot of people were frustrated. Like, come on, Triple H. What kind of booking decision is that? Like, what was the point of dropping the titles on Raw this week then, just to give it back to the other team 5 days later?
Yeah, I understand that. But then on the other side, I feel like, with the lack of tag teams that the women's division has, I still feel like, hot potato in the championships. One, I think Raw needed it, right? Raw has been needing a lot more championship defenses, title changes, and things like that. I feel like it's a double-edged sword. If you don't have the titles defended, then you don't care about them. If you do have the titles defended and you have the champions win, then you're burying the team challenging for it. If the team challenging for it beats the champions, then the champions are buried and the titles don't mean anything, because the champions who had the titles, they didn't have them for long enough. So, and I feel like I might have mentioned this last time we recorded. I feel like we've been programmed as fans to kind of not let stuff, like, it's like Vince's mentality, one and done. All right, we're gonna have 2 guys or 2 teams or 2 girls or whatever. We're gonna have them feud. They're gonna have 1,000 matches on TV, have that final match on pay-per-view, and then that's it. We're gonna move on to the next thing, or we'll have them have 1,000 more matches on TV again, the same exact way, have the same ending, right? And then that's that.
I mean, I guess for me, the only reason, like we talked about before, was, keep in mind, Triple H came up during the Attitude Era, and how many title changes happened there? Hot potatoing. Like Stone Cold, if I remember, never really had a super long title reign. If I remember, that's just off the top of my head. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah,
it was for a lot of the baby.
Both didn't really have very long.
Yeah, it's more about the chase. That's the more exciting story. So I think for them, I'm just guessing, but like, let them be champ, and then like they gotta drop it soon because they can go on that chase again.
I mean, look at Kane. Kane won at King of the Ring, and then the next night he dropped it right back to Austin.
yes. It's.
I think occasionally, if to do stuff like that, it keeps us on the edge of our seats. It's unpredictable. It
gets people talking too. I mean, that's the thing. I could see why they made the title change on Raw last week, just to get people talking, like people like us and other wrestling shows online and stuff. That like, oh my God, there's a title change. And then it kind of, you think about it, all those podcasts that people cover it, they're going to talk about that, give their thoughts about it. It's going to be a buzz on social media. And then, a couple days later, when all these shows release their prediction videos and podcast episodes, it's going to get people talking like, oh my God, well, this just happened on Raw. That kind of throws everything out the window. Oh, what's going to happen at the pay-per-view this weekend? So maybe Triple H is like, you know what? I'll do a little hot potatoing here just because I know it'll get the whole internet wrestling community or all these online shows talking. So for him, it's like, all right, I'll sacrifice a win and a loss here in order to get people talking about it and get people tuning in.
And real quick before we move on, and again, like I said, it takes away from Triple H having to book. Because if this was a non-title match because some people say, oh, you didn't have to book the match at all. But, if you go 4 weeks leading up to a pay-per-view not booking Dakota Kai and Io Sky in tag team matches you can't do it with other women because there's not any tag teams for them to go against, one. And two, you don't want to keep having Asuka and Alexa lose either. And you don't want to give them the win because then they're beating the champions, and no one likes when champions lose. You're right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like you got to get these people. You got 3 hours of TV to fill.
Yeah.
And so you need to fill up these 3 hours with some title defenses. It's just, if not, you're going to run stale of like running out of possible storyline ideas. So I get it. Like you got to have a title defense at least.
Imagine how many
every other week.
Imagine how many championships probably would have been defended in titles that might have been changed if Roman wasn't the champion, right? Or if or if the WWE Championship was still on Raw. We probably would have, in these, a little over 100 days Triple H has been in charge, there probably would have been 2 WWE champions by now.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good point. It's like, that's maybe the silver lining with Roman being on this long title reign is like, okay, it's like, hot potatoing the WWE Championship is off the table because we got this bigger storyline here. But yeah, theoretically, if it was on anyone else, it could have been changing opponents multiple times. You'll get Big E. Hell, look at when Drew was champion, Miz won it after having that Money in the Bank he took from Otis. He was champ for like a couple weeks and then dropped it to dropped it to Bobby Lashley. So I get it. When we talk about Raw, I kind of see where it's leading to, where we all know with War Games and stuff, which we'll get into, which the promo I love, by the way, which we'll talk about the promo as well later.
Yes.
All right, so next up was the steel cage match between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. Scarlett out there ringside. It's a match I was intrigued. I was very excited to see, as we all know. Drew McIntyre is our boy, friend of the show. Been on In The Kliq. Drew McIntyre, for the record, is our number one guest. He's been on In The Kliq the most time. So for anyone listening right now, just know Drew McIntyre is with us. He's actually, Brian, if you didn't know this, he's our third co-host by now.
Oh, yes.
He's been Absolutely. On so many times. Drew McIntyre. I should tell Drew McIntyre that when we see him at WrestleMania next year, we're going to tell him, you're actually a third member, brother. But I was looking forward to Steel Cage match because I'm kind of curious how it played. How's this going to go? And it actually kind of played out exactly how I think you and I talked about in the predictions last week. Drew McIntyre ultimately picked up the victory, outsmarting Scarlett and Karrion Kross. But overall, it was a decent match. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I seen a little bit of like some new moves from Karrion Kross, at least that I haven't seen him do in WWE since he's been there, even before when he was in NXT. I think what this feud is all about, and I think what people are missing is that emotion, right? Like that the build up and the emotion in the match, right? I love the emotion that Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross have been giving throughout this feud, and I thought the match was perfect. I thought it was exactly what it needed to be. I know there's controversy online about the decision to have the door. Some people are like, I don't like the door concept on the cage. I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's been around for decades. Like having a steel cage with the door. Like, how are they going to get in the cage? First off,
true.
So, like, okay, people saying, "Oh, that should not be an option." Well, so what? You're just saying only can win by submission or pinfall? Is that what people are complaining about? Then, like, that should be the only way to win.
Well, yeah, or climbing over. I mean, I feel like you might as well have a door if you're going to do that, because when one's climbing over, don't you think? I feel like it should be a moment where if one's climbing over and one's getting ready to go out the door, stuff like that should make one think twice about climbing out of the door, climbing over the top, because you're like climbing over the top. It's like, take me longer to climb over the top. By the time I hit the floor, my opponent's already on the floor because they went out the door.
Yeah, well, it creates 4 different scenarios for endings. One, a pinfall, a submission, walking out through the door, or jumping from the outside. So there's 4 different ways a match like this can end. So for me, what I liked about the finish was, Drew McIntyre gets, he's trying to get out through the door, gets sprayed by Scarlett with mace once again, just like Extreme Rules, falls back, and he recovers, climbs the wall of the cage and starts climbing down. At the same time, Scarlett, who took the key from the ref, locked it. So she was taunting Drew like, you can't get out unless you have the key. So Drew's like, well, screw it. I'm just going to jump over the top and climb my way out of this. As she saw that, she is like scrambling and trying to open up the door, so Karrion can get out. So it becomes like a race, and that's where the drama is. It's like, what's going to happen first? Karrion escaping through the door by way of Scarlett trying to open up, unlocking it, or Drew climbing his way down. So it's like, it's a battle of the finish at that point, which some people like, some people don't. Some people, I think, rather, like you said, rather have a pinfall or submission. But then there's that dramatic of like, okay, who's gonna escape first? That's the drama right there, the tension. Ultimately, Drew outsmarted Scarlett. And while she was struggling, she thought she was smart having the key. Instead, she's trying to unlock it and taking her time, or taking forever. Drew capitalized and escaped. And I was talking to my brother Tommy about it, and it reminds us of like Hulk Hogan, how many steel cage matches he had where he escaped climbing over. And I remember as a kid, like you're like cheering, get over the cage, get climb down, because he did it, against King Kong Bundy. Their steel cage match, I think it was at WrestleMania 2. Also Paul Orndorff on Saturday Night Main Event. He also did against Big Boss Man. So like that's an old WWE storytelling beat of the good guy, the babyface, trying to climb over and escape before the heel gets out. So
and I think the way that they did it, the way they executed it, having Scarlett, her first attempt of spraying Drew and the referee, right? And then locking it, taking the key, thinking that she had it all figured out. And then Drew being like, all right, well, I'm just going to climb, right? And he knows, what is she going to do? Keep me from climbing? She's not going to stand in my way. Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it worked out. It worked out really good.
Yeah. So for me in this situation, I was fine with it because I grew up, like I said, watching those old school steel cage matches, the blue steel cage, and that was kind of like a regular finish. So for me, it kind of reminded me as a kid of like the good guy escaping, And like you said, like we said in the prediction video, Karrion Kross did not lose by pinfall, so he still looks strong even in defeat. Yep. So it's a win-win situation for both guys and their character. Drew gets a win on a premium live event. Karrion Kross gets a loss, but he still looks strong, so I'm okay with it. Now my only thing was when Drew got maced, though, I wish he would maybe was sold it a little bit longer. He kind of, compared to Extreme Rules, he was like dead, like like my face, This one, he kind of like, okay, I'm good. Like 30 seconds later, all right, I'm fine.
At first, I thought, did he like switch the sprays out? Like, is it some like, dude, does he know something we don't? Like, because when he no sold it, kind of, I was like, oh, well, maybe she grabbed the wrong can and she thinks it's mace, but it's something else, right? And that's why it didn't affect him. But I was like, but it would have affected the referee.
I would love to ask Drew, what's in there really? What is it? Is it just water?
What's in that can?
What's in the can, man? You could tell me, man. Drew, just tell me. Come on, just tell me what's in there. Is it hairspray?
Oh man, and poor Drew. I read that he wrestled that match like sick, like he had the flu or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I read. I read that he was feeling really bad, but he was adamant about doing the match and wrestling in Saudi Arabia. So
okay, because he was sick another time recently, right? Like within the last couple months, he wrestled on SmackDown, if I remember correctly, like food poisoning, if I remember.
Food poisoning, and then prior to that, it was his prior to Clash, it was his back, right?
Yeah,
it was his neck or his back.
Well, earlier this year, remember when he was feuding with Madcap and Corbin? It was a neck, and he was gone for a while, and it was a legit neck issue. And then his back over the summer. Dude, there's so much to talk about with Drew.
He's working, man.
Like I said, Drew's my guy. I hope Drew one day wins a WWE title once again in front of a live audience. He deserves it. He's a 2-time WWE champion, but both times were in the pandemic era, aka the Thunderdome era, aka closed set era. So he deserves a big win in front of the WWE universe. That's all I want. That's all I want for Christmas.
I agree,
Santa?
man.
Santa, can you hear me? If Santa does not grant my wish, I will win Powerball and I will pay Triple H to make it happen. You're welcome, Drew. Next up, it was a 6-man tag, the Judgment Day taking on the OC. Dude, this match was phenomenal. No pun intended with AJ Styles, but this match was a lot of fun. What'd you think?
I thought it was fun too. It was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. At least
with the outcome?
I was wrong, man. I was for sure the Judgment Day was going to lose this one. It didn't occur to me that, maybe they would keep this. I should have known just by the way Triple H has been booking. Nothing is over after one match.
Well, this match, like the intensity, like everyone was getting a lot of action and nonstop move. When you have like 6 guys, 3-on-3, the action can be nonstop because someone can get in, go on a burst for like a minute, 2 minutes, tag out, someone else could come in. So it was just nonstop movement. So
you want to know how I noticed that it was going so quick and nonstop like that? Was that no one online had anything bad to say about Dominik this time, because you didn't really notice him.
That is true. I mean, Dominik being in Judgment Day is probably the best thing for him, but God, I feel like talking about Dominik is a bigger discussion. We have to save maybe for another episode. Maybe we still got to do a bonus episode of like questions and stuff, which we'll do that soon. But Dominik, him joining Judgment Day has been probably the best thing for his career so far. Getting out of his dad's shadow, all that stuff. Like I said, we'll save that for a bigger talking discussion. But like I said, this match was a lot of fun. But I was surprised because OC were saying, okay, we got to find a woman to stop Rhea Ripley. I thought they were going to bring that person out at Crown Jewel. Spoiler alert, it actually happened on Raw, which we'll get into later. But ultimately, Rhea Ripley got involved. So Rhea Ripley, by the way, shout out to her. Ultimate troll coming out. Troll not like look anything. I'm talking about trolling against trolling against Beth Phoenix, coming out with the same hairdo like her, mocking Beth Phoenix after she took her out with the concerto last month at Extreme Rules. But it's cool. Rhea Ripley comes out with Beth Phoenix's hair, and she's like, I'm trying to pay homage to her, but in reality we all know she took her out. So that was kind of a cool like jab at Beth Phoenix. But we saw, the OC got some suplexes in. AJ was trying to capitalize, but Rhea stopped AJ Styles on the apron. And then Bálor back in the ring, got the coup de grace and picked up the win. So Judgment Day wins by way of Rhea Ripley's helping out. Simple booking. It's like, okay, Judgment Day won with the numbers game because Rhea Ripley got involved and, cost AJ on the apron, preventing him from doing the phenomenal forearm.
Yep.
So yeah, Judgment Day wins. So yeah, dude, Triple H has really done a great thing as far as fixing Judgment Day, building them back up, and they're picking up quality wins again. So good on them. We'll talk more about what next happened for them on Monday Night Raw. A big story beat happened there, which I was very excited for. Next up, the Battle of the Giants, or I guess technically a giant and a monster. Braun Strowman against Omos. Battle of the two big men currently in WWE. Now, okay, full disclaimer, we're recording this on a Tuesday night. I know a lot has come out news-wise concerning Braun Strowman and his tweets and whatnot. We'll save that for the next episode of the podcast in the clickbait news. For right now, we're just going to focus on talking about the match here. Now, the match itself was a lot of fun. It was It was a great match. It was, I think, it exceeded a lot of people's expectations. What'd you think?
It definitely did. And, Omos had a little bit of a coming out party, looked big, felt big for the first time. And when I say that, I mean, in terms of like, he didn't seem like he was in the way, right? Like he felt like he felt like he belonged and he was in the right place. It's like I said, I might've mentioned it on the last episode we did. It's crazy seeing Braun Strowman up next to Omos, someone so much bigger than him, because we've always looked at Braun as like this big guy, and that's been his persona, monster among men, monster of all monsters, right? Yep. Get these hands. I mean, Omos was in there talking trash to him. He was slapping him around, throwing him around, showing that Huey, we text during the match, showing that personality. And that's one thing that I felt like he really needed. It might have bought him some time. Honestly, it really might have.
And his ring gear, you also were excited for.
Yes. I mean, for him to come out there and actually have ring gear instead of like bouncer club jeans and
I totally forgot that he was the fight. I was gonna say Fight Club security, but what was that? The thing with Shane McMahon, the Raw Underground, the Fight Club. Yeah. He was the bouncer for Shane McMahon. Like, that seems like
then they had an encounter during Raw Underground also, but I just forgot about it.
That's right, because Braun came in and he was the bouncer and he looked at him. I forgot about that. God, wasn't it like 2 years ago now? Was that?
Yeah.
Because that was Thunderdome era. That was a Shane McMahon idea. God, I cannot wait.
Trying everything.
I cannot wait either for like Brian Zane, Wrestling with Regret, or someone do like a whole video on YouTube just talking about the Thunderdome era, like the highlights, the lowlights of that time period.
Yeah,
there's so much to talk about, like maybe the top moments, Raw Underground, WrestleMania, ambulance matches. There's so much from the Thunderdome era.
Yeah, from a what worked, what didn't, and what could have potentially worked like that maybe they didn't do too. Like I feel like that's something that we can talk about.
Cinematic matches. I mean, there was that one match with Ricochet and John Morrison that they're able to film because without a crowd there, they're able to film them going, flying over, Ricochet flying off the ropes, off the Morrison on the wall and flying backwards. And, there was probably a mat on the other side that they fell on, but you could do that because there's no crowd there. Anyway, sorry, not to go off on a tangent on the Thunderdome era. I'm sure a lot of people are like, I'm trying to forget about that time, that era.
I seen a tweet recently of someone saying, "Oh, I missed the Thunderdome era," and then the replies were like, "Are you crazy?"
Jesus Christ, are you drunk? Come on. No, but the match itself, like I said, I'm with you. Omos finally having some ring gear. It kind of just builds up, adds to his personality. He doesn't look so just plain with just the black tank top and pants. But yeah, in the beginning, I'm a sucker for old school, like the test of strength. Two big men, test of strength, trying to put their arms out and, back and forth, who is stronger. I like that. Which makes sense. You do that with big meaty guys like this. But also, I really enjoyed, like Omos dominated most of this match. So very much like Brock Lesnar getting dominated by Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman got dominated by Omos. So it was just nice to see something different. Yeah. And like you said, for Omos, he was kind of talking crap to Braun as well. Like, come on, man, are you stronger than me? Like, tell him, like, grab my hand, let's go. So Omos with the ring gear, talking smack in the ring. Like you said, he finally showed some character, some personality, which was good. Thank God. Now, granted, MVP wasn't there. He's written off on SmackDown a couple days before, or the taping the week before. Braun took him out with the 3 power slams. But I think, was it Raj Giri from Wrestling Inc. said he couldn't go to Saudi Arabia because he was Muslim, turned
atheist.
He turned atheist, so he doesn't not celebrate, practice Muslim anymore. So, but and that's a crime over in Saudi Arabia. So MVP can't enter the country.
Yeah,
so that's kind of scary to think about.
I feel like he was there before. recently though, wasn't he?
Did he convert recently then? Maybe.
He might have.
I have to ask him. I would love to interview MVP. He is a former APW Universal Champion. So here in the Bay Area, he is royalty out here. I'm just saying. So,
Shout out MVP.
MVP, dude. Yeah. Money. Sorry. But no, Omos was dominated, but he was manhandling Braun Strowman in the ring. But Braun was able to set him on the outside onto the announcer's desk. Omos flattened Strowman off the lariat, but back in the ring, Braun somehow got the running power slam, picked up the win. So Braun does pick up the win at the end. Good for him. He needed the win. Omos, though, where does he go from here? Now, granted, as you said, it bought him some time as far as he's got some ring gear, he's got a little more personality. So there's something there to work with from a character standpoint, but where does he go?
I feel like Omos needs it's tough because now he can't be babyface now because like Strowman's a babyface, right? They're both on the same brand right now, right? Like Omos is on SmackDown. Technically Raw still, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they've been crossing over on SmackDown.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like someone like Omos really needs like that hero moment, right? Like for example, like let's say they did I don't know if do you know if they're doing traditional Survivor Series matches this year or is it just
I don't know. I think emphasis is just on War Games this year.
Yeah, like if Omos was on a Survivor Series team and him being the sole survivor, or something like that, like something to help his team, kind of like Dolph Ziggler, that remember was a Survivor Series, right? When Sting came and he, I don't know, a moment
he gutted it out, yeah,
something that really, because I kind of feel like this was Strowman's moment, like this was his big, okay. Yep, I'm back. I'm a baby face. I did this, and I had some adversity. He's bigger than him, right? Stronger. So I don't know. I feel like Omos needs a moment now, whether he's gonna go after someone as a heel or have like a moment where he's just like the hero all of a sudden and gets a big crowd reaction.
And that's a good point. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, you think about it, they got Braun back, they got Omos, and then, keep in mind, they got Commander Aziz somewhere. I don't know what's he been doing.
I would say this. Maybe have Omos in the SmackDown World Cup and have him win it all to get a match against Gunther for the Intercontinental title. I know people would hate that, but I mean...
I was thinking about that SmackDown. Yeah. I'm just what happened to Commander Z? Sorry, I'm just thinking about that, like all the big men. Because oh my god, Veer's tag team partner, Sangha. He's a big man, but he's busy right now with the tag stuff. Let's see.
I think last time I saw Commander Aziz, he was working a house show in NXT.
Okay,
like it looked like he was. I thought he was going to be paired up with Cora Jade because when Cora Jade turned heel, I think for one of the live events he had came out with her to the ring.
With who?
But then with Cora Jade.
Okay.
But then that was it. It was like that. We hadn't seen him since. So
okay. Well, I'm just randomly thinking of ideas. Maybe bring back the Twin Tower gimmick. Him and Omos tag and be big men. They take out Braun together.
Or put him with someone. And have them be in a tag team. I feel like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Man. I mean, that's the thing. When you're a big man, you're treated like a special attraction like Andre the Giant was. But, you are kind of limited what you can do in the ring, maybe from a story standpoint, because you're supposed to be this dominant force. So do you go on a tear, beating up everyone? But, eventually, if you beat up everyone, you should be in the title picture, but maybe if you don't want that person in the title picture, like it's a really booking big men in wrestling, I think, is like one of the toughest things, just from a story standpoint, a believable story standpoint. You got to keep them special. So maybe Omos stays off TV for a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let Triple H figure it out. So, next up for the tag titles, it was the Usos taking on the Brawling Brutes. Man, these guys are we the ones. Yes, the Usos pick up the victory, but man, these two tag teams have some great chemistry together. Man, what do you think?
I thought it was great, man. Brawling Brutes have become like I think I said it on Twitter. Ridge Holland, man, what a freaking redemption he's had. I know he got a lot of slack from people with the Big E injury, and a lot of people were calling for him to be fired, and he's not ready. He needs to go back to NXT. So I'm very happy for him to be in this spot. And maybe you can thank Sheamus, maybe not. I think he's doing well, holding his own. But
I mean, think about that. Sheamus is buddies with Triple H, and Brawling Brutes get the rub that way by being Sheamus's like current faction. Yeah, that's a good point. A good point. I forgot about that. Yeah,
I really feel like even Butch, he's embracing the role. I think the name change is one thing, but I think he's very much. I hope people would just realize that he's still the same, and they've kind of turned Triple H ever since he's been in charge. Has kind of turned him back a notch. I know Vince had him going crazy, acting like a child, but now he's kind of
hold me back.
Yeah, he's gone back to being that bruiserweight, his old self. And I appreciate it because these tag team matches that they had, the ones on NXT, this feud that they've been in with Imperium, and now having the title shot with the Usos, I thought it was great. The Usos, they can wrestle anyone. They got chemistry with everybody, man. The Usos cannot have a bad match.
Well,
at all.
I am kind of concerned about the future, though. So, oh, by the way, Michael Cole. We got to talk about Michael Cole, how much fun he was having during the show. Man. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention during the Judgment Day OC match, he just randomly dropped Bullet Club, saying Finn Balor and AJ Styles were former leaders of the Bullet Club. Like, just flat out said Bullet Club on WWE TV. I was shocked. I think the whole internet just jaws dropped. Like, oh my God, he said Bullet Club, which was awesome to hear. It's just because for so long, WWE, under Vince McMahon's guidance, it's like you only talk about someone's wrestling career in WWE. Anything outside of that doesn't exist. If someone comes back to the company, like, oh, they've been gone away for a while, you never acknowledge their outside work. It's like it's WWE's world only exists. Nothing else outside of that happens. But here, it's like they're finally acknowledging it. And so for us as wrestling fans, it's like, that's cool. It's like, it's those little things that's like, it's cool that like WWE's acknowledging, like, I know we're the biggest dog in the town, biggest dog in the yard, but there are other companies out there that exist. And
I think too, I think too, if you're the biggest dog, then there's no harm in mentioning, some of the smaller territories that are around. There's no harm in that.
At the end of the day, no one is going to outdo WWE. Like, from the production standpoint alone, no one can compete with WWE.
Right.
Now, so with that being said, I think there's no harm in mentioning other promotions in conversation. It just helps with the world building overall as a professional wrestling fan. Acknowledging their past, them doing this or that in other places, just for us as fans, like, oh yeah, it's cool they acknowledge that. Yeah, I was a fan of that time period or whatnot. So I respect that, and those are little things that builds up more goodwill with the fan base. But
and I feel like it helps get the wrestlers over more, right?
Yeah.
Like when they come over or come back from someplace else, if you just bring them back and say, oh, they did nothing, it's kind of like going to a job interview and or having a resume with nothing on it, right? Like it's like, what have you done, right? Like you have nothing here. Like I can't go off of anything.
Yeah.
You know, if you say you're a wrestler, but you have no tape I can watch, how am I going to believe that you're one of the best in the world?
Well, think about it. Like, let's say you're a 10-year-old kid right now, and you're a fan of AJ Styles or Finn Balor, and you hear Michael Cole reference Bullet Club, and you're like, what's that? And keep in mind, Bullet Club started, how long ago was that? Like 8 years ago now, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ came to WWE in 2016, so he was Bullet Club, 2015. So if you're like a 10-year-old kid that's getting into wrestling right now, and you're a fan of both those guys, you can like go back and watch stuff when they were in Bullet Club when you were like an infant. You know what I mean? So like you can go back and watch stuff that you probably didn't know about that existed. Like, you know, if you're a 10-year-old, you might just know Finn Balor and WWE and AJ Styles only in their time in WWE, but you don't know about their life wrestling career before that. So for a little kid, you can like go back and look up stuff and then fall in love with wrestling even more. So so I think it's just good for the fan base. One other thing though, that is, you know, potentially a little nervous talk. You know, Michael Cole also did reference that was Jay supposedly broke his wrist in Europe on the European tour. He's going to get an MRI on Monday. Has there been any follow up on that? Anything?
No. I at least I haven't seen or heard anything. Maybe they want to get through, you know, with the scheduled tag match on Friday
with New Day and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he comes out to the ring and, you know, his hand wasn't really taped up that heavy. So
it looked like it was fingers. Looked like it was his fingers more than anything.
Yeah. So I was kind of wondering, like, okay, is Michael Cole, you know, kayfabe just saying that, like planting the seed, like it, you know, not really injured, but they're saying that as a way for a story beat, because, you know, some people are saying, well, if Jay is hurt and has to, you know, air quotes here, sit out for a while to recuperate, maybe Sami Zayn can fill in his spot, and that'll add more tension between. So Sami and Jimmy have to defend the tag titles. Jay gets pissed off at Sami for like taking his spot and winning matches as a tag team champion, kind of like a free bird rule. So I kind of wonder, you know, maybe Jay is not really hurt, but they just said that just to create a story beat for a future story idea between Jay and Sami Zayn there. So I don't know. I'm just saying, but the match itself, was great. You know, the Brawling Brutes and the Usos going back and forth. Jimmy came back in the ring, broke up a pin there, and the Usos took out Ridge with double super kicks before hitting the 1D on Butch. That was like a super 1D, right? Off the top rope it was.
And Jay's his shirt had got like his legs were caught with his shirt. His shirt had like, I guess he ripped his shirt off, but like it wasn't completely ripped, and it dropped all the way down to his knees, almost like trapping his knees from being able to like move. So he kind of waddled over to the top rope. And if you got to go back and look at it, I was like, whoa, is he?
Oh my God.
I was like, he better be careful. He's climbing up to the turnbuckle.
Okay.
Like almost trapped.
Yeah. I gotta definitely check that out. So no, but great tag team match here. Usos retained, and the big storyline here is now breaking the New Day's record for longest title reign. So we'll get into that later on. Next up, I would say you can make the argument match of the night: Bianca Belair versus Bayley, last woman standing for the Raw Women's Championship. This match was so much fun. Creatively, it was so much fun. What'd you think?
I thought it was great. Just when I think, okay, what can they do to make something different, right? Sometimes I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be that good, but it was good. Bayley and Bianca, you got to give credit to Bianca too. She does really, really well. Bayley, ever since she's been back, she's been working. She's been doing double time. Like she's been, trying to almost to a fault to her, like almost not paying enough attention to herself. But she's been, managing damage control and trying to win the Raw Women's Championship on her own. And I liked this match because she literally did it on her own. Right, if I'm not mistaken, no damage control at all throughout this match. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. One, shout out both their outfits again, ring gear. Awesome, look like superhero outfits. Bianca Belair tweeted out, she made her, we all know Bianca Belair, or if you don't know, Bianca Belair makes her own outfits. Normally she makes them at home, but she's been busy lately on the road a lot. So she handmade her outfit on the road, gluing everything by hand. So she really does it all. So mad props to Bianca Belair for that.
Kevin Owens even tweeted out and said that she's amazing. Like he actually saw her when they were on the bus going from, where they were at to the arena when they were in Mexico. He saw her putting it together, like sitting up in the front, like just working on it.
Nice. See, no, that's so crazy. Cool. By the way, shout out Bianca Belair, another friend of the show, and Bailey as well. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like at this point, like over half the roster are friends of the show or third co-hosts. I'm just saying. Right. That's why if you're listening right now, you need to subscribe to In The Kliq. You need to tell your family and friends to listen to this podcast. It's so underrated. We interview all the big names, but with Bailey though, you gotta give her credit. She makes her opponent so much better. That's the thing with Bailey. Every opponent, you can argue, like everyone that she's faced off has become better because of their matchup or their feud. Have become better wrestlers. I mean, you look at some of Bianca's best matches have been with Bailey. Sasha Banks' best matches with Bailey. So that's the thing. Bailey is like that person who makes people deliver their best matches. And so this match here was amazing. Like I said, creatively, you think of a last man, last woman standing match. We've seen it all over the years. It's been a gimmick used many times. It's like, what can they do that's different? And they did different spots that were not think of before. Like going on the outside, having the steel stairs up against the apron, Bianca getting trapped in there, and then Bailey hitting the kendo stick on her, and it's like stand down, and like she trying to hide under or gets locked under there. And the ref is like trying to count. So that was a creative spot.
Very creative.
So it's creative. Like they were using their resources around them and doing different ways of trying to hold each other down. And that was, you got, like I said, watch it for yourself. Bailey, ultimate, trickster. At one point they were going up the apron, and it looked like she slipped and like twisted an ankle. And the ref was telling Bianca,
I thought she was hurt, man.
I thought she was hurt too. Like it was her ankle, it was her knee, like this, the one she got injured from. I was like, oh no. But sure enough, when Bianca wasn't looking, Bailey starts charging and hits her, faked her out. They go up the ramp. They're at the top of the ramp there. Bailey brings what do you call it? Like a luggage, or
it's like an equipment box
case. Yeah,
cable box or something like that. They put all their like equipment and stuff in.
Yeah, like a stage case. Hits Bianca, throws Bianca in there. And then she's telling the ref to count. For me though, it's like, wouldn't it be smarter? Bailey at the end was trying to hold it down. If it was smart, wouldn't Bailey should stand on top of it?
Right. I feel like Bailey was so like, in moments like that, because it's funny you say that, because I was like, oh wow, maybe she should have sat on it or laid across it or something. But in that moment, I figured Bailey's just like, like exhausted, like just
okay.
Count,
Yeah. Okay, I get that. No, then that makes sense. It's like she's like, just count. I can't stand on top. But it would be cool, like a feat of strength, like Bianca like pushing her up, like bam,
right.
And then the golf cart comes out. Bailey comes driving with the golf cart. Bianca kicks her out, throws her on top of the golf cart. They're fighting each other. They were laying into each other with some hard punches. They set up the table earlier, Bailey did, down by the ring. And so Bianca's driving the golf cart to the ring, Bailey up top. I thought Bianca was going to drive hit the ring, and then Bayley's gonna go flying off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what? But then she slowed down right before, and then ultimately she grabs Bayley and tried to throw her onto the table. The table didn't break. They called an audible, and then Bianca powerbombed Bayley through the table. So
I thought she was going to try and hit the KOD off the top of.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, she's going to do the KOD.
But the actual finish, though, I enjoyed with. So Bianca hits the KOD on Bayley on the chair, which was cool. Like Bayley turned the chair in the air.
Yep.
Like she made it look like she was trying to push it out of the way, but actually moving it. And it actually was a little more of a softer landing. Mm-hmm. Did you notice that too?
Yep.
Like the way Bayley made it look like she was trying to push it out of her way, but in doing so, she actually turned it so it was easier to land on. Mm-hmm. And then Bianca put Bayley inside the ladder, like I don't know, like I said, I heard someone like an alligator, crocodile mouth.
Yep.
Put her inside and slide it under that ring corner. So it was hard for Bayley to get out. She was like trapped under there. Sure enough, got the 10 count. Bianca wins, retains the title. That was a very creative finish there. So bravo to both those ladies.
I'm curious to see who uses that tactic in like a ladder match or something, right? Like who put your opponent between the ladder and then slide them under the turnbuckle so that they can't slip out.
That was, like I said, overall, that match was so much fun to watch. Like
it was,
that could have been easy like a WrestleMania type match. I thought like that was so good. All right, main event time. Roman Reigns defending the titles against Logan Paul. This match has created some other not controversy, I would say dialogue online. The match was great, hands down. It was a great match, but there's some people kind of complaining about the booking of Logan Paul, which we'll get into in a second. But your thoughts on this match overall?
I thought it was great. I have to say, I told all the people on Twitter, I told you. I knew that this was going to be a good match. There's just no way. Like Logan Paul is so athletic, and I know everyone questioned credibility and the fact that he only wrestled 2 matches and how and why should he be challenging for the championship at this point. I mean, as we're recording this, I think Roman's surpassed 800 days as champion, right? Mm-hmm. How, like, come on, like for someone like Roman Reigns, as good as he is, as many people that he's beaten and sent packing right to the other brand, the other company. I feel like why not? Celebrities should be coming in. Celebrities or other athletes should be coming in looking at Roman Reigns like, I could take this guy out.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so the match was, like I said, was amazing.
Yes.
Logan Paul, I said this on Twitter, he is an athlete. You can't deny that. Love him or hate him, based on what he's done online and his career and stuff. But just based on his in-ring work, he's an amazing athlete. It's amazing how fast he's picked up pro wrestling and how smooth he looks in the ring as a natural. Yeah. His skills, his selling, all that is great. They told a great story in the ring. Roman worked his ass off, sold his ass off, made him look like $1 million in return. A lot of great spots, which we'll get into in a second. But the dialogue I saw online was, okay, the match by itself, you're just watching this match for what it is. Amazing match, fun match. But as far as a big picture storyline standpoint, as you said, this is Logan Paul's 3rd match.
Yep.
Roman Reigns is champion coming up on 800 days. He's been wrestling for over 10 years. Over 10 years experience versus a guy with 3 matches. Theoretically, this should have been a squash match. Roman should have just came in and just dominated and just beat the crap out of him and won 1, 2, 3 like in 2 minutes, if that. So I understand that argument. People are saying, okay, the match itself was great, but from a bigger picture viewing, it's like, okay, Roman is this is the longest title reign of like the modern era in the last what they say, 35 years of what, like the last time someone's had the belt this long was what, Hogan, right? Like what, 87? I'm trying to think roughly. It's like,
yeah.
So theoretically, you know, Roman Reigns should just kill this guy in the ring, no problem. Like Logan should have not got no offense in. Roman should have just, like I said, squashed him. But, you know, come on, it's a business. You're not going to let Logan Paul lose a match that quickly. And I'm sure, you know, Logan Paul agreed to this match, said, well, I got to look good in this too. I'm not going to just lay down for Roman Reigns, take a beating and lay down. I got to look good too. And, you know, the story they're trying to tell is like one lucky punch. So you're like anticipating throughout this match, can Logan land that one punch to potentially knock out Roman Reigns, which he did. Roman kicked out, so it shows Roman is still a badass. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he is in God mode. I don't know, but what do you think about that argument between the two ideas?
So here's what I think about it. I feel like people aren't really paying attention, right? Because I thought that same way too. But then when you really think about it, because you can look at it like that, right, and say, well, Roman Reigns should have taken this guy out. Like, what's going on? That's true. That's the story that's being told, I feel like, on the low, on the under. Because if you really pay attention, after everything was said and done, after everything that had happened, everyone who had got involved, when Roman, which we've seen this sight for I don't know how long now, of Roman Reigns walking up the ramp with Heyman, with the Usos, and now with Solo, holding both championships, you know, or, you know, holding a Universal Championship, victorious on top. But this time, Huey, was different. It was different this time because I don't know if you saw after the match, Paul Heyman's holding the championships.
Yeah.
And Roman's going up the ramp, and Heyman's hyping him up. He's like, "You're the best, my tribal chief. You're the greatest. I love you." All this stuff, right? And Roman is like, he's just showing that emotion, right? He just went to battle with Logan Paul, and he's almost in tears, and he kind of collapsed, and you can see him turn and almost look like. He had that, oh my God, that was a close one look on his face. He immediately said, I don't ever want to see him again. Go to UFC, go back to YouTube. I don't ever want to see him back here again. And then you see when Heyman's hyping him up and Roman's looking at those championships, because they were almost gone, right?
Yeah.
That was a close one. You can kind of see that we're really seeing how great Roman Reigns is. We talk about the 800 plus days. We're seeing how great he is, how great he can be. But in a sense, we kind of may be seeing the fall, right? The rise and the fall.
The beginning of the fall of Roman Reigns.
Of the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. Like, I mean, how many close calls is it going to be until someone actually takes him out and puts him down? Even with the help of the Usos, it still almost happened.
I like that. No, okay, no, you saying that's a good point. It's almost like he's questioning his immortality. He's like,
yes.
He's
even before, mind you, listen how mad he got when people were talking about how one punch. He got so upset.
Raw.
Yeah. And like, I believe you mentioned it last time we recorded, and how Heyman was kind of like, got him. You know what I mean? Like, he said enough. He had done enough to get Roman Reigns on that level. And it's been a while. He's had some matches, but this match he had with Logan, he was back in his bag, so to speak. He was trash talking throughout the match. He was himself, right?
Yeah.
And I argued the short time without Heyman when he was gone, Roman didn't really seem like himself, but you know, now he seems like himself, but I don't know if himself is enough to continue to get it done.
I guess for me, seeing that, one, I guess, you know, some people are saying like the match should have been told as, okay, like Logan Paul, he's trying to tell the story of like, I just need one lucky punch. And like, it should have been told like he's the ultimate underdog, like inexperienced guy trying to take on Roman. Roman should have just been dominating. Like, Logan should not got that much offense in. Right. But he could have told a story. Maybe he's just taking this abuse, but he's not giving up. And maybe the goal is to finally land that lucky punch, which he did. But of course, during that whole match, he was landing a bunch of offense too. So I could see the argument there, or the complaint of like, this match should have been told a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But overall, though, if you're watching this match as a one-off, just, you know, for a casual fan just watching this randomly one night, you're going to enjoy this match for the spectacle that it was and how awesome it was, the back and forth. But I do see the argument, though, as far as like, well, yeah, he should be the ultimate underdog, the inexperienced fool trying to think he could take on this god of Roman Reigns. It should have been very one-sided. You could have paint the picture of Logan as a tough guy taking a beating and not giving up, and maybe eventually landed that one lucky punch, but that punch didn't do anything. Roman still could have kicked out then. But with that being said, the match was a lot of fun. But yeah, I like that idea of what you said. Like he was talking him saying no more YouTubers coming to WWE, and he called out what Mr. Beast and was
Mr. Beast,
KSI. So that was cool. But yeah, I think that's something maybe people are not focusing on, the emotional toll it took on Roman, him coming up on, up the ramp, and he was like questioning that, like, man, like he barely survived that one. And that could have been like a big story beat there as far as like, man, like I'm questioning my own God mode. Like this YouTuber almost took me out. So like I got to rethink things and re-strategize myself. And
it's all in his face. I feel like, Kliqsters listeners out there, like if you're second guessing, just go back and watch the end of that match and just look at the look on Roman Reigns' face, and you can almost feel, and then look at him. He's looking at the titles. He's almost in tears. He's like got his head on Heyman's chest while he's holding the titles. And then he turns around and he's like, I'm the man. Like he starts shouting, right? It's almost like, okay, I'm all right. Snap out of it, you know?
So, okay, that could be a good thing. Is like, yeah, maybe here, starting now, we're a little bit early, but it's the road to WrestleMania for Roman Reigns, but that road is him unraveling. He's got too cocky, but now he's becoming paranoid on trying to maintain this God mode, and that's what's going to break him down.
And there's so much going on in the bloodline, right?
The Sammy stuff, the Usos stuff, the arguing, and he's like, Logan starts chipping away, and then like, who could Cody be the one to chip away some more? I mean, like I said, that's a whole nother story we can get into, talking point later. But okay, I like that idea. That's something I don't think no one's been talking about. So I'm very glad you said that. So Kliqsters, please remember that. Keep in mind, the downward spiral of Roman Reigns begins right now. So I like that. But the match overall, amazing spots. I mean, Logan Paul hit a buckshot lariat, for crying out loud. And some people are arguing that's better than Hangman Page. Multiple frog splashes he did in the ring.
He hit the Shawn Michaels forearm kip up. He had the forearm kip up package.
Yes, he hit a Superman punch. He hit the lucky punch, the big punch that Roman kicked out of. That one spot where he springboard off the ropes and he's like in the air flying with the punch, and Roman's at the bottom waiting for him with the uppercut. And there's that photo, we shared it on In The Kliq's Instagram, which you should be following us at In The Kliq on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, by the way. But you and I were looking at it, and it's like, dude, it looks like a shot from a comic book, like two guys punching each other, one at the bottom, one flying. I mean, what an amazing photo!
That's got to be framed. Logan Paul has to frame that.
Yes, like I want him to autograph it. If I ever met the guy, like autograph that for me. That's an amazing photo. And like I rewatched the match, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is the moment. It happened so quick in the match, but the fact that they were able to capture that in a photo, like that's amazing. That like sums up the whole match right there. Of course, the frog splash, Roman on the table, and Logan Paul hit the frog splash on the table, but he got the iPhone from his crew, his co-host from his podcast, and was able to film it. And the video's all over social media, which you saw, which was amazing, like slow-mo of him going through the table. Like, for him, the body control to film himself, to film the crowd, and then film himself flying, and then turn the phone in midair as he's coming down on Roman. You see Roman on the table, and the camera's getting close. Perfectly captured, like...
Perfect.
And on top of the injury, which, we get into with the clickbait news, but yeah, he gets injured in the match as well, which we'll talk about more later. But Logan Paul blew, everyone away with his performance. Amazing. But yeah.
No, I was just going to say Logan Paul, he showed like that. He has that passion, even in his entrance, how hype he was, like just to be making that entrance down that ramp. Like he may not have the promo, right? He doesn't have, that down all the way 100% yet, but the in ring, like it's a lot of people have said like getting in the ring, doing this, especially on the level that WWE does in front of as many people as WWE does it in front of. It's difficult. It's hard. The bright lights. It's like playing for the Lakers or the Yankees or the Knicks. Yeah. Right. But man, like Logan Paul really knocked it out of the park. I was nervous as the match, like as the entrances were happening. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know, because sometimes you look at someone and be like, oh man, he's really enjoying this. Is he going to be able to really focus and come down from this high of being on the bright lights and entrance and all that, and be able to focus on what he has to do in the match? And he did. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and that's the thing too. I was going to say is, for the finish though, it was very overbooked, but when you got these celebs involved and somewhat inexperienced as he is with 3 matches under his belt, this is his 3rd match, you got to overbook it to kind of compensate all that. So the Usos come out and attack Logan Paul's co-host from the podcast. They're in the ring beating up his guys. Jake Paul comes out, makes the save, because everyone was like, I thought he was going to be in his corner, but he comes in later, makes the save. He comes in and like the Usos are looking at him like, who's this guy? This guy can't do nothing. Jake Paul takes them both out, which I did roll my eyes. One, the punches Jake Paul threw on the Usos were 2 of the worst work punches I think I've ever seen in pro wrestling.
So I seen a lot of people talking about it. It happened so fast. Like I was like, were they really that?
I rewatched it. Come on, like. My brother is a boxing fanatic, and so just by being his brother growing up, I've seen so many boxing matches with him. I know what a good punch is. Logan Paul, like the first punch I think was against Jay, and like he literally like throws his arm out, but then falls forward, and then like he hits the mat and picks himself back up, and then he goes after Jimmy and throws another weak punch where like he's obviously not trying to hit him. It's a work punch, but like he falls forward in the forearm. It's like, it was just a terrible, like watch it again if you can. It was a terrible work punch on both the Usos, and like, I feel bad because like it's the Usos. They're like 2 badass tag team, almost longest reigning tag team champions. And this guy throws these 2 terrible punches to take him out. So, it's just not good. Looks good all around. So anyway, I'm just saying it was terrible. It was just, like I said, so bad. But he takes him out, and then Solo Sequoia comes out. Wait, am I saying it right? Sequoia. He comes out, makes the save, and distracts Jake Paul. Then Roman comes in, hits the spear on Logan, and gets the pin for the win.
I love how they had Solo come out, and then officials and refs immediately kept him away from Jake Paul. To me,
they never touched each other.
To me, that's a sign that, hey, we got to make sure he doesn't get his hands on Logan, or on Jake Paul. It kind of furthers, Solo being the enforcer, being dangerous, right? I love that they did that. And of course they had the Usos standing right behind Jake Paul already, and then Logan hits another crazy move flying over the top rope. I mean, it was spot after spot after spot at that point. Of just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and now it's like, you and I were talking, we put this on Twitter. So are we going to see the Paul brothers versus the Usos at some point? Now I know Logan Paul's injured, which we'll talk about later, but I'm guessing at some point they're going to do the Usos versus the Paul brothers at some point. It's going to happen whenever Logan gets healed up. It's going to happen.
I think Jake might have got the bug.
Oh yeah,
he looked like he was enjoying it.
Like, I know, like, everyone said based on his fake terrible punches in the ring, now his actual boxing matches are fixed. But now it's like, dude, I can actually like not have to worry about actually hitting someone for real and still control the outcome. Sign me up.
Yep.
So it's gonna happen at some point. But anyway, no, overall very fun show. Bray Wyatt's promo. We got to touch on that real quick. So Bray Wyatt comes out before the main event. I'm sorry, we skipped over that. Cuts his promo. Uncle Howdy still kind of haunting him or, following him around. I don't know. What'd you think about this? Uncle Howdy, he's telling him it's okay to wear the mask and do bad things. So it's just more just adding to the mystique of like Bray's going to do bad things. And, we saw on SmackDown this week, like he was talking to that stagehand guy and said like he's having a bad day and he wants to beat his head against the wall and stuff. So I think
that was good. That was really good. What he did on SmackDown, I thought was pretty neat considering, we've seen him in the ring, all these different times. I think the whole backstage segment was really cool. Seeing him kind of freak out.
Yeah. So Bray comes out, he says he comes from a wrestling family, which is cool. If you don't know, his dad is IRS. Well, okay, his brother's Bo Dallas. His dad's IRS. His uncle, his mom's brother is Barry Windham. His grandpa, his mom's dad is Blackjack Mulligan. So he does come from a legendary wrestling tree right there. So all that connection right there. And, the expectations, for him, he's always expected to be the best. So there's a lot of pressure. You come from a family tree like that to deliver. Wyatt said that he was alone, that people only cared about what he represented. He said he wanted to rewrite the ending of his story before Uncle Howdy showed up one more time on the big screen. He said that Wyatt would eventually go too far and everyone would see the real him. Howdy told Wyatt to not take the mask off next time before the segment cut off abruptly. So it's like Uncle Howdy's encouraging him, put the mask back on and do bad things. So we're going to see that at some point. So it's, it's a slow burn for this eventual Bray Wyatt going on a tear of some sort. So
I'm very interested in seeing what this is going to unfold into and how they're going to pull this off.
Yeah. So we'll see. So overall, Crown Jewel, very fun show. All right, I know we're running along here. Let's just power through Monday Night Raw. I felt like there was like 4 big takeaways here. All right. Monday Night Raw happened this week, the fallout from Crown Jewel, and the big talking point here, Austin Theory, failed cash in. He comes into the show, cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase against Seth Rollins for the U.S. title. So this is a cash in, not for a world title, for a secondary mid-card title, the U.S. title, and he still loses, and now he is not a U.S. champion anymore. He's not a Money in the Bank winner anymore. The briefcase is gone. A lot of people are saying this might be the worst cash in of all time. Brian, I know you have a lot of thoughts about this. So just to paint the picture real quick. Seth Rollins started the show, or early in the show, said he had an open challenge for the U.S. title. Didn't have a chance to do it because the OC and Judgment Day interrupted it. Comes out later tonight, says, hey, it's 10 years of Seth Rollins with WWE. I want to have a U.S. Open challenge for the U.S. title. Mustafa Ali comes on the big screen. He says, I want to challenge you, because they've been going back and forth. Bobby Lashley comes in, takes out Mustafa Ali. Bobby Lashley comes on the screen, says, I am pissed at you. You cost me my title 4 weeks ago. I want revenge between you and Brock Lesnar. I am pissed off. So Bobby Lashley's still being booked like a monster, which I love. He's like, I'm coming down there and coming it for you. So he comes down to the ring. They fight for a bit. He takes him out, destroys him. Austin Theory then comes out and tries to cash in, and they have a quick 5-minute bout, if that. Bobby comes back out, takes out Austin Theory. Austin Theory barely gets in the 10 count. But when he comes in, Seth hits the curb stomp and barely pins him for the win. So Austin Theory failed cash in. Seth retains the U.S. title. Bobby looks strong, destroying all of them in the process. So a lot to unpack there. What do you think?
So happy for Bobby Lashley. He definitely made his presence felt, with everyone involved in the U.S. title. And he put a lot of people on notice too, I believe. But Austin Theory, There's a lot of uproar, and there's a lot of talk on.
Your son is uproar over it.
Yeah, he's angry about it. Listen, Austin Theory is 25 years old, I believe, and I think he's gonna be fine. This was, I think, a case of Triple H just, because even Triple H is getting, bad rap for this. The decision on, having Austin Theory cash in for the United States Championship one, right? Like, how do you cash in for a mid-card championship and not the world champ? Like, a lot of people are looking at Austin Theory and saying, "Oh my God, he looks stupid now." Like, he doesn't, like you said, Huey, this is the worst cash in ever. And I think it's supposed to be that way. I mean, Austin Theory is still young. I don't think he's buried. He wasn't going to cash in on Roman because he wasn't going to win. And I know people may have felt better if he cashed in on Roman and lost. Yeah. But what's the difference on, the title, I guess, to some people make the whole difference, right? Like, he looks silly for cashing in on the U.S. title. And maybe creatively you can draw up a reason as to why he did that. We don't know if Triple H will do that or not. I know Vince wouldn't have done it. Like, wouldn't have given a reason as to why he would do that. But I know that U.S. title is being made to be looked at as the main title on Raw.
Yeah.
And while us as fans may not believe that, right? It's the only championship that people can really fight over on Raw. Seth Rollins even just got done saying before the open challenge started that, he brought the title back to being relevant, the number one championship on Raw. Mm-hmm. So, you can look at that as being a reason. Maybe Austin Theory wanted to be the main focus on Raw, and he knows the only reason to do that. I'm giving a bunch of reasons here. I know. I honestly don't know, but I will say this: Triple H, he had his back against the wall. This is Vince McMahon's fault, 100%.
I know. So Austin Theory owns a very exclusive club of failed cash-in, so led by John Cena, Baron Corbin, Damian Sandow, Braun Strowman, and now him. So 5 total. Braun, he won, but he called his shot and wanted a match against Roman was a Hell in a Cell at a later time. So that was a little bit of a different scenario.
Except Austin Theory is the only one to cash in for a title other than a world championship.
Exactly.
So there we go. He's got something all to himself.
So from a booking standpoint, you scratch your head because it's like, okay, dude, like from a logistics standpoint, dude, if you're Austin Theory, why would you cash in on a random episode of Monday Night Raw for the U.S. title and not the world title, the WWE Championship? Why? It doesn't make sense. I guess you brought up good points. Like, well, Raw, U.S. title is kind of like the A title right now on Raw because Roman doesn't show up on Raw barely, which that's a whole nother argument we could talk about. But I guess for him to feel relevant, it's like, I need the U.S. title to be the top guy on Raw, which, okay, I guess that is one way of looking at it. I do see that. But from a logistics standpoint, it's like, dude, you have the briefcase. Like, you have 1 full year to use that. You could do like a Seth Rollins and insert yourself into the main event of WrestleMania and make it a triple threat or whatever for the WWE title. You can just hold off and just wait until WrestleMania, and then whenever the championship match is declared or created, you can just insert yourself night of and become a part of the match. So it's like, you should have just been patient. Theoretically, from, like I said, a logistics standpoint, like, you could just hold off and just be patient and wait to insert yourself at a later time. Plus, on top of that, it was an open challenge. When Seth first came out and was like saying, I want to defend this U.S. title.
I didn't think about that.
He should just ran past Bobby Lashley and ran out there and save his Money in the Bank briefcase. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you could have done that.
It's an open challenge. There's no reason to cash in your briefcase. You just, sure, Bobby was, beat up Mustafa Ali and was on his way out there, but just run past him, get to the ring before him, and just get the match going. So I see from this is why people are questioning Triple H's decision in this. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. We talked about on the podcast recently, there was WrestleVotes was saying there was an idea of let Austin Theory have the briefcase for one full year, and then the last night of his 1 year contract, he's scrambling last minute. Well, now we don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen now. The only upside is, now you can do the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania, and whoever wins becomes the sole, the new Money in the Bank briefcase winner. And there's no one else overshadowing him, a.k.a. Austin Theory. Hey, I'm last year's champion. I still have 1 full year through July, technically. So those two are not going to overshadow now. So I guess they really just want to get that story beat done. Just the Money to Bank briefcase done, over with. I just feel bad for Austin Theory because, it's an example. He was definitely a Vince McMahon guy. A year ago, Survivor Series last year with the egg, and that was the beginning of him and Vince's on-screen relationship. He was Vince's next protege, and things were looking good through the new year. WrestleMania, representing Vince McMahon. He looked like the next top guy, the top star. And now that Vince is gone, he's really fallen, and it looks like Triple H has plans for other people, and Austin Theory's not is not the top of his list. But which I'm confused because Austin Theory was in NXT when Triple H ran it, and he did well there with the way. So I thought that he would be a Triple H guy.
Well, that's why I think that's what I said. I think he still is a Triple H guy. I don't think he's buried. I just think Triple H knows he's not in the cards right now for being next for a WWE championship. And let's be honest, regardless if he had the briefcase or not, he wouldn't have been in the conversation to be WWE champ right now anyways, because there's so many people ahead of him. And I think Austin Theory has yet to build that momentum, whether it be as a babyface or as a heel, because he's been so wrapped up with the Vince McMahon story and the egg and WrestleMania and, Pat McAfee. He hasn't really had a feud with anyone since being on the main roster, really, So, and then the way he got put in the Money in the Bank ladder match to begin with was another Vince just, go out there and, insert yourself type of deal. And another thing I think people should pay attention to, he's not buried. He just had a match the same night on Raw, and he picked up the victory. He won
over Shelton Benjamin. So, the other thing too is, keep in mind, I'll say this, wait and see, because we thought Bianca Belair was getting buried last year, losing to Becky Lynch in 27 seconds at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Then look what happened after that. She has an amazing year post WrestleMania on till now, an amazing run as champion. So what looks like maybe a worst cash in ever for Austin Theory, who knows, in the near future things could turn around. They can repackage him and rebuild him up, kind of like what they're doing with Liv Morgan, kind of fixing her up because she was a Money in the Bank and SmackDown winner under Vince's regime, but Triple H is kind of a little course correcting her character now on SmackDown, so maybe they could do the same for Austin Theory.
And I think the youngest Mr. Money in the Bank gimmick, it's just people don't like it. It just doesn't fit him. He has so much more to offer than just that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But it was just feel bad for Austin Theory. A couple of things real quick. Let's power through this. I know we're running out of time. We saw the Judgment Day and the OC go, have a little stare down in the ring. And they're telling Rhea Ripley, we have someone to counter. And sure enough, the returning Mia Yim back with WWE comes out with the kendo stick, takes out Rhea Ripley, beats her up, and now aligns herself with the OC, which is cool. I'm very happy to see Mia Yim back with the company. What do you think?
She got that look in her face, that look of I'm back, I'm better, and I'm excited for her. I know that she'll get a real opportunity now on the main roster under Triple H's booking. So I'm excited for what she's going to be doing with the OC, and even after that.
And I was trying to connect them, okay, what's the connection here? Because it kind of seems a little bit of an odd pairing. But, technically they were all wearing TNA or Impact at one point or another, all of them, you know, if you want to make that connection. I was like, okay, there's kind of a little bit of connection there. But I like the pose at the end with Mia Yim with the Kindle stick posing in front of the OC. That was a cool pose, I thought. So no, I'm looking forward to see what they can do. And Mia Yim, it's nice to see what she can do on the main roster. When she was in NXT, she had a pretty good run there. I know when she signed with WWE, she was injured, I believe, at first. She had a decent run in NXT. Then when she got to Raw or SmackDown, she was part of she was what's her name? Retribution. So another make good situation here. So I'm excited to see what Mia Yim can do with the OC. I'm excited for that. Also, we saw later in the night, we saw Damage Control come out to Bianca Belair and Asuka and Alexa Bliss in the ring. They have another beatdown, another fight. Bianca Belair grabs the microphone and says, the only way to settle this is War Games. So finally, the Women's War Games match has been declared. Now, we saw the promo at Crown Jewel, which I love. They used the Black Sabbath War Pig song, which was awesome. We saw it's going to be 10 competitors, 2 rings. So it's going to be 5-on-5 for men and women's matches. So it looks like so far it's 3-on-3. Damage Control along with Nikki Cross. So, okay, so there's 4 there versus the 3. So a lot of speculation who's going to round out. You know, I kind of wonder if Candice is going to join Damage Control because, you know, we saw she got beat down, but it was off camera. The mic was pushed. So maybe that was like a swerve. So maybe, and then, you know, who joins Bianca Belair's team? Is it returning Becky Lynch? Is it Sasha Banks? Is it Naomi? Does Rhea Ripley join Damage Control? Because we saw later in the night, we saw Rhea Ripley walk by Bianca Belair and look at the title. So it's a little foreshadowing that they're going to have maybe a feud down the road.
Maybe even Tegan Nox.
I love seeing Io Sky and Asuka go back and forth in Japanese in the translation video. That was awesome. Someone translated. That was great. Finally, I love seeing that dialogue. That was awesome. So we'll have to see who's the rest of the spots are going to be filled. But I love we're going to get that going. Shout out Bianca Belair doing her best William Regal impression of War Games.
Yes.
They should have William Regal's son do it. Charlie Dempsey. War Games. So we also Nikki Cross beat Dana Brooke for the 24/7 title, and then backstage walking like a zombie. Just throw it, miss the trash can, but throw it out. So I guess that's their way of retiring the 24/7 title. Who knows? We'll see. So
poor Dana Brooke.
I know Dana. Poor yeah. Also, we saw the New Day and the Bloodline have an amazing opening segment. The back and forth of like, I mean, they're each other's best opponent, hands down. But the back and forth, that was so real. Just authenticity of each of their struggles and going back and forth, and you know the struggles they've been through to get to the top for their respected tag team divisions. So what'd you think about that opening segment?
I thought it was great. It was getting real. The fans weren't really reacting like I thought they should have.
Yeah.
But it almost kind of added to it, right? Like everyone was kind of, you can argue and say that, you know, maybe people were just kind of, you know, listening and paying attention and really feeling what was going on. But it didn't seem like it affected the Usos or the New Day. They just kept going. They were going at it, and then Riddle had to freaking ruin the whole thing.
I know Riddle coming out just really derailed what was like a really emotionally impactful segment between 2 tag teams. Riddle really derailed it. And I'm a Riddle fan.
Read on Fightful Select that Jamie Noble produced that match. I'm not sure if he produced the segment or not, but
coming out with the bongles and like, let's hit the bong, man. It's like forcing weed jokes in there. It was like, it was really uncalled for. It was like that, like a Marvel movie forcing jokes in there when the emotional, serious tone was carrying it just fine. But yeah, the big story is SmackDown this week. It's they're going to face each other, and not only the tag titles on the line, but just who becomes the longest reigning tag champions. That's the big story beat there. One last thing from Raw I just want to touch on. Johnny Gargano versus The Miz. We saw Johnny reveal another video. He hired a private eye, secret video of this person talking to The Miz, and pretty much admitted that, he set up Dexter Lumis to pay. He paid Dexter Lumis to stalk him because he wanted to get, famous for it. He stopped paying him because WWE were threatening, like, police to get involved and investigate this, and Dexter was getting payback. And then we saw Dexter come at him with a chair, and Johnny and Miz fight, and then Miz used a wrench, I think it was, to hit Johnny in the head, pick up the victory. So I don't know. I just kind of wish Johnny would move on to something more serious. But I get it. He's new to the roster. Miz is a good veteran opponent to kind of get him established on the main event scene, the main roster scene for the WWE Universe. So I'll let this slide.
Finish. That was a great finish, in my opinion. Him tricking the ref, thinking that Dexter was under there, and then bam with the ring, with the turnbuckle thing. That was cool.
Yeah. So no, Raw overall, while the crowd sucked, too quiet and flat,
horrible.
But overall, some big story beats did happen. So we're on the road to War Games now, Survivor Series War Games. SmackDown, do shout out. Go out your way, check out Gunther versus Rey Mysterio for the IC title. That was a great match. Liv Morgan, I like to see her character. We can talk about that later. Her character work, where it's progressing.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey aligning as a tandem. As this badass twosome between the two of them. So, all right, well, let's start wrapping things up. I know we're another long-winded episode. Brian, where can the Kliqsters find you?
Kliqsters can find me at BrianTronic on both Twitter and Instagram. I'll be on Twitter. Follow me, man. Let's get the conversations going. I want to know what you Kliqsters think of what I said about Roman Reigns. And, the beginning of the end of the Tribal Chief. Let's get it going.
I like that. I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Like I said at the top of the show, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast at. Just search for In The Kliq. Follow us on social media at In The Kliq. InTheKliq@gmail.com. If you want to email us your questions, your thoughts, your comments, we'll do an email segment one of these days. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.